Welcome back to the Licensing Subcommittee decision, Monday the 9th of February 2026. In the matter of Licensing Act 2003, the application for a premises licence, Kev Albert Road Community Store, 235 to 237 Albert Road, Southsea, PO4 OJR. All parties shall receive written notification of this decision. The subcommittee has considered very carefully the application for a premises licence at premises known as Kev Albert Road Community Store. It gave due regard to the Licensing Act 2003, the licensing objectives, statutory guidance and the adopted statement of licensing policy. The subcommittee considered the relevant representations, both written and given at the hearing by all parties. Human rights legislation and the public sector equality duty has been borne in mind whilst making the decision. The application relates to the shop premises and is for the provision of retail sale of alcohol off sales between 0700 to 0100 and late night refreshments between 2300 and 0100 hours. The hearing was adjourned for a short period to enable the parties to read the documentation submitted by the applicant in advance of the hearing. It was indicated by those objecting prior to hearing commencing that there was nothing substantially new, and all the parties confirmed during the hearing that they were content for the hearing to proceed. The subcommittee was referred to Regulation 18 of the hearing regulations, and it was determined that the hearing would proceed without further adjournment. The application has not generated representation from the responsible authorities, and it is noted that the police had agreed additional conditions with the applicant to amend the operating schedule following positive engagement set out on all pages 158 to 160 of the report. There are 175 representations objecting to the grant and one in support. It's further noted that 125 report or 127 hearing note are the same representation signed by different individuals. 3 councillors have made representations and an additional 1 representation in support was received. The subcommittee was, amongst others, referred to paragraph 10.15 of the statutory guidance, which indicates that shops, stores and supermarkets should normally be free to provide sales of alcohol for consumption off the premises at any times that the premises are open unless there are good reasons based on the licensing objectives to restrict the hours. After having heard all of the above evidence, the subcommittee determined to grant the proposed application subject to reducing the hours of sale of alcohol to a terminal hour of midnight and subject to conditions implementing the operating schedule as amended by or added to by additional agreed conditions subject to deletion of repetition. Reasons. In summary, the subcommittee heard on behalf of those objecting the following points. There are significant concerns in relation to the proposed business given its vicinity to school premises and visibility of items to school children. Promotions of inappropriate products will affect children in the area on school premises and travelling to and from school. The normalisation of the sale of alcohol. The availability of alcohol late at night will necessarily increase existing antisocial behaviour issues like street drinking, litter, drug taking, drug dealing, theft and vandalism. Supported housing is located nearby with rough sleeping prevalent. The parklet is used for antisocial behaviour and will only be aggravated by additional alcohol availability. Additional alcohol availability will encourage more crime and disorder. Similar stores have been found to be selling illegal vapes and counterfeit alcohol. There are residential properties diagonally opposite the premises. The applicant's proposed measures are insufficient to address the issues of this area. There is a marked difference between the other end of the road and the proposed premises end, which is currently quiet. There are 12 premises of this nature on the road already. The community does not want this premises. It is reasonably foreseeable that additional alcohol availability will attract those already in drink and lead to an increase in issues. In summary, the subcommittee heard on behalf of the premises the following points. The premises is an empty shop and will be refurbished and regenerated. There'll be a wide range of products, not just those causing concern. The premises will be serving the local community and will be an independent store with Premier branding and product lines. The applicant, who will act as a DPS at the premises, has 10 years of experience and is responsible for 2 other similar stores. Those other stores are well run and create no issues. Recent test purchases have been passed at those other stores in relation to underage sales. A comprehensive list of conditions had been agreed with the police to address the issues at the premises, including CCTV, staff training, Challenge 25, register, alcohol strength, crime and disorder records, spirits to be located behind the counter and a shunt lock. There were no objections to the application until Facebook posts encouraging objection. A significant and comprehensive operation pack manual has been produced. A member of staff will be trained to SIA level of accreditation. Alcohol will not be visible from the outside. The majority of representation should be afforded little or no weight, as they are following a campaign against the application based on irrelevant grounds of objection, i.e. vapes, high processed or sugary food. Need for premises cannot be taken into account. A lack of support and evidence behind objections. No representation have been made by the responsible authority for the protection of children or the school, despite being on notice of the application. Noise from those accessing the premises will have no or limited impact, as there are no residential properties above, adjacent or opposite the premises. Guidance indicates noise away from the premises is not the responsibility of the premises licence holder, and no representation had been made by environmental health in relation to noise. Growth is a new consideration outlined in recent amendment of the guidance, and a hearing note set out the applicant's position on associated issues. The subcommittee acknowledged the statutory guidance. It indicates that shops ought to be generally permitted to sell alcohol during the hours the premises are open unless there is good reason. In this case, the subcommittee is satisfied that the area is one that is experiencing issues of antisocial behaviour, and this is demonstrated by the nature and number of representations. Clearly, the subcommittee has had to attach appropriate reduced weight to repeated representation, but did acknowledge that addresses had been provided. The subcommittee accepted legal advice that it must focus on the licensing objectives and cannot take other matters into account, including the sale of vapes or tobacco, planning issues, the unhealthy nature of convenience food or processed food, etc. It's important to stress that running a convenience store or shop is not a licensable activity. The only licensable activities that the licensing authority can control is the sale of alcohol and the supply of late-night refreshment. Accordingly, the subcommittee can only consider the risks that those activities alone will pose to the licensing objectives. The restriction on the availability of alcohol after midnight in a residential area was considered to be appropriate in the light of representations received. The business interest was carefully balanced against the potential impact upon licensing objectives. Further restriction could not be justified at this time on the weight of evidence presented and the range of measures to be implemented by the applicant. The subcommittee noted that the responsible authorities, the police and environmental health in particular, are experts in their respective fields and accordingly attached weight to the lack of representation, signifying consent. Residents can be reassured that there is a right of review, and in the event that issues do arise and evidence supports, action can be taken to address concerns. There is a right of appeal for all parties to the magistrate court, which must be made within 21 days of notification. And I end today's subcommittee at 3:06. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Chair, for all your time and consideration. But just to be sure, alcohol is till midnight. And is LNR till midnight or till 1 a.m.?
Till 1 a.m.
LNR till 1 a.m. Thank you very much. And the conditions are the conditions agreed with the police. Are you adding the condition in about please leave quietly from?
I think it was in your operating schedule, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was.
yeah.
It was already included, so yeah.
That's right, okay.
The operating schedule is to be implemented as amended or added to.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you.